close your eyes to the room. And as you close your eyes to the room, try to let go of all the distractions, the stories, and the ramblings of the mind. It's not an easy task. So take a deep breath in. And exhale, see if you can start to let go just a little bit by little bit. Do that one more time. Deep breath in. And then exhale, just see if you can let go a little bit. And the breath is a great way to bring you into the moment, into the present. It helps you to connect, to become focused. And so just connect with that breath. Each inhale, you're feeling a new, fresh wave coming into the body. And with each exhale, you're just letting go a little bit more. The exhale just carries away all the worries, all the ramblings of the mind. And try to stay connected to the breath. And as you're connecting with that breath, on your next inhale, see if you can start to lengthen the spine. So if you're sitting, you might just feel the head reaching up towards the ceiling. If you're laying down, you might feel that spine lengthening on the mat. A slight tucking of the chin to help lengthen out the neck. And maybe even start to tilt the pelvic slightly so you draw that low back into a neutral position where the spine can really begin to lengthen. And then see if you can start to relax the rest of the body, letting go of any tension in the forehead. Relaxing and letting go of any tension that you might be holding in the jaw. So maybe even creating some space between the teeth, allowing the tongue to relax in that space. Shrug the shoulders a few times just to help release any tension you might be holding there. And then see if you can just draw them down and away, letting them relax. The hands and feet, let them soften, maybe by spreading and releasing them. And then come back to connecting with your breath, just following the inhale and following the exhale. If the mind wanders, bring your attention back into your body. Connect back with the breath. Check into what you're feeling, the sensations in the body, and maybe areas where you can release and let go. you're following this breath, see if you can begin to deepen and lengthen the breath. So on the next inhale, take the breath in. See if you can draw it all the way down into the deepest part of the belly and let it come all the way back up and out. One more deep breath. And as you finish that breath, start to create some core engagement by drawing your belly button back towards the spine. As you create a little bit of effort and engagement in this area, make sure you're softening the rest of the body. And see if you can come back to a deepened breath, holding this engagement, please. And check in as you're holding and breathing. One more deep breath. And on the exhale, relax. Draw the hands to prayer, palms together or palms against the chest. And then draw the thumbs with palms to press against the chest. Relax those shoulders. And begin to set your intention for today's practice. Finding what calls to you. Finding what's needed and honoring it. If you're still trying to find it, don't worry. But once you have it, repeat it back to yourself. Believe it. And when you're ready, just release those hands and open the eyes at your own pace. If you're sitting up, just come down to a laying position. Give yourself a little space so there's no props in your way. And begin to draw the arms up and overhead as you lengthen the legs on the mat. Start to point the toes and reach those hands back. So it's like you're really being pulled from one end of the room to the other. And then exhale, the arms are going to begin to come down by your sides as the toes point up, the heels ground down. Tuck the chin just a little bit here. Good, do that movement again. Start to reach those arms behind you. Start to point those toes, feeling that body being pulled and stretched from one end to the other. And then exhale, arms come down, toes point back up, engaging those feet and tucking the chin. Good, last time. So give yourself that stretch you may need. Maybe it's a little pull to the left, a little pull to the right, that extra stretching out. And whenever you're ready, just release as you have been. Arms down and toes back up. Then take a moment when you come back. Notice what you're feeling after that stretch. Good. Now draw the knees in towards the chest. Wrap the arms around just to give yourself a quick little squeeze, a little hug if that feels good. If you lift the head, just release it before gently rocking side to side. And as you rock side to side, just kind of notice what your body's feeling. Is there tightness? Are there sensations that are talking to you? Maybe one side feels different through the hips, through the shoulders, or even through the legs. Good. Slow the movement. Wrap your arms around the right knee and lengthen the left leg onto the mat. Engage both feet as though you're pressing against a wall in front of you. And then squeeze that right knee in, giving yourself a nice little stretch. Good. And inhale, reach the foot and the arms up towards the ceiling. So that foot is pushing up as the arms are reaching, those fingers trying to go towards the ceiling. Good. Now, just like you were in that full body stretch, you're going to start to draw the arms up and overhead and draw the foot down to meet that left leg. So now the whole body is on the mat. Full body stretch if you would like. Re-engage the feet. Draw the left knee in, wrapping the arms around that knee. Squeeze, draw that knee in, give yourself a little stretch. Good, then start to push and draw that foot up towards the ceiling. Start to reach those hands up towards the ceiling. So just like the other side, it might feel different though. And then slowly draw the arms and the leg back onto the mat or the floor. So you're back in a laying position. Full body stretch if you need. Good, re-engage those feet. Right knee comes back in, wrapping the arms around, squeeze that knee in. Good, then push, drawing that foot back up, draw those hands back up towards the ceiling. Good, then gently release, drawing the body back to lay on the mat completely. Full body stretch if you would like. Re-engage the feet, left knee comes back in, squeeze, drawing that knee in. Good, then lift and lengthen through that leg, through those arms. We're reaching up towards the ceiling. Breathe deep, then gently release, coming back to the mat. Good, now we're going to switch it up just a little bit, so give yourself that full body stretch if you would like. Re-engage the feet. Now what you're going to do is draw that right leg up towards the ceiling, not bending the knee, and then draw your arms to hover down by your sides. If it feels good, you can lift the head and chest up towards that leg. Keep breathing deep. And just like you did before, you'll slowly lower the arms and the head, drawing that leg back down. So you're in that full body stretch movement again. If it feels good, do it. Re-engage the feet, then lengthen and lift that left leg up towards the ceiling. Hover the arms down by the sides, lift the head and chest up. Breathe deep. Slowly release, arms back overhead, head back down, and that left leg meeting the right. Full body stretch if that feels good. Good. One more time on both sides. Lift that right leg up. Hover the arms by the side, lifting the head and chest up. I want you to be able to breathe when you're here. Good. Gently release. Full body stretch if you would like before switching to the next side. When you're ready, left leg comes up, arms come down to hover, lift the head and chest, breathe deep. Gently release. Good. Full body stretch if you would like. And then re-engage those feet. Good. So now it's your choice. So we're going to come into stillness on both sides. Maybe it was a little much to be in that last position and it was better when the knee was in. So honor that. So I just want you to come into a position where you feel comfortable. So you can have that knee coming in, the arms maybe wrapping around the knee. Maybe you want to lift the head up that way. Maybe you want the leg length and the arms hovered as you lift the head. Or maybe you want the head down as you're in either position. Stay here for 3 to 5 deep breaths. If you want to be here a little bit longer, honor that. Give yourself any little adjustments or stretch you might need before coming to the left side. And whenever you're ready, come into that same movement you did on the other side. So come into a place of stillness. Breathe deep, 3 to 5. Good. Then again, any last little stretches you need. Then draw your arms out at T, creating a nice straight line from the fingertip into the shoulder, from the other shoulder into the opposite fingertip. Relax those shoulders, tuck the chin, relax the jaw. Then bend your knees so the feet come onto the mat, and start to walk those feet wide. When you walk the feet wide, they'll come to the long edges of the mat. Once they find those edges, see if you can spread and lift the toes, and then just release them back down. Draw the core gently in. You might feel a slight tilt. Deep breath. Exhale, knees lowering to your right, and maybe your head or just your gaze will look over to the left. Take a deep breath and notice what you feel. And then draw those knees and your head back to center. Make sure feet are still wide. Core is slightly engaged. Deep breath in. Exhale, knees lowering to the left. Gaze to the right. Take a moment to just connect and notice how this side feels. Breathe deep. And then come back to center. Good. So just allow yourself to move through these movements. As you come back to center, it's the best time for you to realign and re-engage. Let your breath be deep and let the breath help guide you. The next time you come to one side, come into a place of stillness. Pause here, but don't pause your breathing. So check back in. Notice where your effort might lie, or where can you add any effort. Notice where your ease is, or maybe where you need to add some extra ease into the body. And breathe deep. One more deep breath, and then come back to center. Realigning, re-engaging, readjusting. When you're ready, on your exhale, you'll lower to the left, gazing to the right. And again, come into that place where you can pause. Breathe deep, check in, finding that effort or where it's needed, finding that ease or where it's needed. And just letting that breath be your guide, letting it be deep. One more deep breath. And come back to center. Good. Once you're back at center, take a deep breath here. Then walk your feet in closer, knees in towards the chest. Wrap the arms back around those legs. If you want to lift the head up, that's okay, but then release it. And then one more little rock side to side. And just notice how different you feel from that first time you rocked side to side. How the sensations change. Does one side still feel different, or now do you notice something that feels different? Good. Slow that movement. Slowly coming to center. When you're ready, you can either wrap the ankles to rock up or just roll to one side. Whatever is easiest, just coming up to a seated posture. And once you get in that seated posture, lengthen the legs out in front of you. Heels down, toes pointing up. Move those sitting bones or use something to sit on if you need. Shrug out the shoulders just to release any tension. Good. Lengthen the spine a little bit here. And then start to reach your arms up and overhead. Soften those shoulders, but spread the hand. Exhale, hinge at your hips and come into a forward fold. Now don't hold the arms up or the head, let the arms relax. And maybe tuck your chin just a few times to really help release and relax through the shoulders and the head. Good, draw the core in. Start to lengthen and reach those arms back up as the spine lengthens. Soften the shoulders. Come back into that forward fold. It's always okay if you need a little bend in the knees, but soften and release when you get here. No need to hold anything up or to hold on to anything. Good. Inhale, reach those arms back up and overhead. Relax the shoulders. This time come into your fold, but grab a hold of maybe the feet, the ankles, the shins, the calves, maybe even the thighs, whatever you can. Just give yourself an extra stretch into this forward fold. Don't hold the head up. It's too easy to do that. Take 2 deep breaths as you're squeezing through these legs. Then completely let go and just let your arms relax, let the head relax. 2 deep breaths here. Then walk the hands slowly into the legs or into the hips so you lift gently back up. Good. Notice how you feel. Shrug out the shoulders, maybe a little wiggle through those legs. Good. And now we're going to come to hands and knees. So if those knees are being sensitive because of all this rain we've been having, please use extra padding through your mat or maybe through a blanket. So just find your foundation when you do get here. So it's just knees down underneath of the hips, a little space between those knees. The hands are underneath of the shoulders, and maybe the hands come a little wider for more stability. Spread those hands, create nice grounding and broadening up through those shoulders. Gazing down at those hands. Draw the core slightly in. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Now tuck the chin, round the spine, push the hands away from the mat. Feel that spine reaching up towards the ceiling, the shoulders coming away from each other. Now start to draw the shoulders together towards the spine. Draw the core gently in. Breathe. Tuck the chin, round the spine, push those shoulders away from each other. Now start to draw those shoulders back towards one another, drawing that core up. Good. Just move through these shoulders a few rounds, tucking the chin, rounding the spine, then gently drawing those shoulders towards the spine. Good. One more movement. back to neutral. Good. Notice if you need to make any adjustments. Sometimes even though we were doing slight movements, we still kind of move a little bit out of our position. Good. Now see if you can shift your weight over to the left. As you do, see if you can start to then draw the right leg back behind you, letting the toe point down. Sometimes it wants to automatically open, but see if you can draw that toe to point down. Good. Then see if you can find your balance on both sides equally. Sometimes we push all our weight over to the left. Now start to bend the knee, draw the core in, tuck the chin, round the spine, draw that knee in towards the chest. Good. Then lengthen that leg gently back behind you. Engage the core. Make sure the toe is pointing down. Bend the knee, draw it in towards the chest, rounding the spine, tucking that chin. Good. Lengthen that leg gently back. One more time. Bend the knee, draw it in towards the chest, rounding the spine. Breathe deep. 2 more deep breaths here. Good. Then lengthen the leg behind you. Engage the foot, toe pointing down, draw the core in. Shift the weight to the right. And maybe start to walk your left fingers in front of you a little bit. So you just start to work with balance. If you want to go a little deeper, reach that left arm up. So you're reaching with the left, pushing with the right foot back. Draw the core in and up. Breathe deep, 3 deep breaths. At the end of that 3rd breath, the hand comes down first, then the knees. And then I want you to release by slowly drawing your hips down towards your heels, letting the head come to the mat. You're coming into a child's pose, and you should be able to kind of just roll out those wrists, whatever you might need, kind of relaxing the shoulders, just letting go after being in that position. But notice the strength that you cultivated in that position. Lengthen your arms, come back up to hands and knees. Please find your foundation once again, which is wrists under shoulders and knees under hips. Draw the core in, shift the weight over to your right side now, and lengthen that left leg behind you. Engage the foot, toe pointing down, draw the core in. Good, bend the knee. Start to draw the knee in towards the chest as you're tucking the chin and rounding the spine. You might push the hands away from the mat. Good. Draw the core in. Start to lengthen that leg behind you. Toe is still pointing down. Good. Bend the knee. Draw it back in towards the chest, rounding the spine, tucking the chin. Breathing deep. Lengthen the leg, toe pointing down. Last time, bend the knee, draw it in towards the chest, rounding the spine. Come into a place where you can breathe deep for 3 deep breaths. At the end of that 3rd breath, you'll lengthen the leg, toe pointing down. Shift the weight to the left a little bit so you can start to walk the right fingertips forward. So maybe you stay on the fingertips. Maybe you want to work a little bit deeper by lifting that arm. And so reach and pull with that right arm as you're reaching and pulling with the left leg. Draw the core in and breathe deep. 3 deep breaths. The hand will come down first, then the knee. Give yourself a release by going back into that child's pose. As you go into the child's pose, I want you to really let go and release anything that you might be holding on to. Wrist, shoulder, maybe the neck, maybe even the legs, the hips. Lift and lengthen, come back up to hands and knees. Good, so once you're back at hands and knees, see if you can curl your toes. As you curl your toes, shift your weight back a little bit. You're going to start to maybe feel a stretch through those feet. Take a deep breath, draw the core in, then hover the knees off the mat. Breathe deep here. Then push into your downward dog by lengthening the legs. Hips up towards the ceiling, tailbone up towards the ceiling. Try to ground the heels down a little bit. Your chest is pushing towards those thighs. You should be able to gaze to a place where you can see the knees. If you feel like you're slipping, draw the fingers out to the long edges a little bit by rotating. And then start to pedal those heels. Give those legs a little release. Good. Now lift the heels up, start to round the spine. As you're rounding the spine, your shoulders are going to start to come over the wrist. You're in a plank, but I want you to keep the hips up. A lot of times we want to drop them down. Keep drawing that core in. Then push the chest back towards those thighs. You're in your downward dog once again. Good. Notice how that feels. We're just going to do this a few times. So come back into your plank. Lifting up through the heels, rounding the spine forward, drawing the core in. Don't let those hips come down. Keep them up. Nice flat back. Good. Then gently push back into your downward dog. Good. We're going to do this one more time. So when you're ready, come into your plank, lifting the heels, rounding the spine. Breathe 3 deep breaths. On your third breath, downward dog. Good. From your downward dog, walk the hands and feet to meet one another. Maybe the feet walk to the hands. Maybe they meet in the middle, and then just walk it up to the front of your mat. Roll out those wrists. They're a little tired. Roll out the shoulders. And just notice where your feet are. They're underneath of the hips. Make sure they're parallel with each other and the mat. Spread and lift the toes, and then start to fan those toes back down. Good. Draw the core in. Come up to a half lift. And by doing that, the hands may come onto the legs. You draw the shoulders together, draw the core in slightly, and you gaze gently down. Then gently fold back into those legs. Now bend your knees. As you do, you're going to start to sink your hips down and back. Let the thighs come together a little bit, but not to touch. The chest lifts up, the arms come up to frame. Good, draw the core in. Push on up to stand as arms come around and into prayer. Shrug out the shoulders if you need. Good, as you're standing, grounding down into the feet, lengthen and reach those arms back up and overhead. Now draw the core in, give yourself a slight tilt through the pelvic. Come into a slight back bend. Might feel good after some of those movements. Then exhale, start to come back into your forward fold, hinging at your hips. Once the chest is back in towards the legs, soften and release to the shoulders, the neck. What you're going to do now is bend your knees as much as you need so the hands can come down to the mat. Your hands, once they're finding the mat, shift your weight to the left. Now see if you can take that right foot and draw it behind you. Now make sure as you draw the foot behind, check in with that front knee. If it starts to track over the ankle, just start to kind of wiggle that back foot back a little bit further. And you want to create this nice 90-degree knee over the ankle, not in front of it. Good. Now start to find balance. So push from the front foot into the back. Make sure that the back heel is lifted so you're in your lunge. If you start to draw the hip or the heel down, see if you can pull that right hip forward. It will help to keep that hip that heel lifted once that hip is pushing to the right. Good. If you feel balanced here, stay here. This is totally fine. You can do the same movement, it just will be a little different. When you feel ready, hands on the top thigh. And arms come up to frame the ears when you feel balanced. Keep pushing from the front foot into the back. Keep pushing that right hip forward to help keep that heel lifted. Good. Breathe. Good. Now hinge forward, hands down to the mat. Walk the hands back. Let's give ourselves a little runner stretch by lifting that front foot. Good. Then bend that knee once again. Walk the hands into a place where they're in a stable position, and then hop that back foot to meet that front foot. So now the feet are parallel once again, or at least underneath the hips. Readjust if you need to so that they are parallel. Good. Come up to a half lift. That flat back. Good. Gently release back into those legs. Now bend your knees, sink the hips down and back, chest peeling up, arms to frame. Engage those thighs a little bit. Good. Then push on up to stand as arms come around and into prayer. Shrug out the shoulders if you need. Release the neck if you need. Good. Reach those arms back up and overhead. Tilt the pelvic, draw the core in, slight back bend if it's there for you. And then exhale, fold back into those legs. Good. Notice how that feels. Release any tension. And then bend your knees so the hands can come to a position where they feel stable, flat, possibly. Shift to the right, and then draw the left foot now back behind you. Again, checking in, making sure your knee's not tracking. If it is, give yourself a little more distance between the feet. Push the left hip forward so the heel stays lifted. Draw the core in. If you want to stay down, that's okay. Then draw the hand onto that top thigh. Draw the core in, arms coming up to frame the ears. Gently pushing from the front foot into the back, find your balance. Draw that left hip forward a little bit so that you're keeping the heel lifted. Breathe. Good. Gently hinge forward, drawing the hands down, and walk the hands back for a runner stretch by lifting that front toe. Good. And bend the knee. Hands come into a place where they can feel stable, and you can draw that back foot to meet the front. Make sure you find those feet back underneath of the hips, allowing them to be parallel with each other and the mat. Come on up to your half lift, that flat back. Gently release back into those legs. Good. When you're ready, come into chair, bending your knees, sinking the hips down and back, the chest peels up, arms frame. Push to stand as arms come around and into prayer. Good. Reach those arms back up and overhead. Tilt the pelvic, draw the core in, slight back bend. And then hinge those hips, come back into your forward fold. Good, so we're gonna do one more lunge on both sides. So whenever you're ready, come into a place where you can shift your weight over to one side. When you draw that foot behind you, always check in, making sure that the ankle and knee are in line with each other. Whatever foot came behind, probably the right, push that right hip forward, draw the core in, hands on that top thigh when you feel balanced. You can always stay down if that's where you feel most balanced. When you're ready, arms can frame. And find a place in front of you to hold your gaze. It helps with balance. Breathe. Check into what you're feeling and what's happening. One more deep breath. And we're going to turn this into a little bit of a movement. So whenever you're ready, arms coming down by your side, start to straighten the front leg. Good, breathe. Start to bend the knee, reach the arms back up to frame the ears. Good. Lengthen the leg, draw the arms back down by your side. Balance will play with you. Draw the core in, bend the knee, arms come back up to frame. All right, lengthen the leg, arms by your side. Keeping the back heel lifted, see if you can, with the arms by your side, drawing the core in, start to hinge forward a little bit. Keep pushing into that back foot. See if you can keep a flat back. Good, then gently bend the knee, draw the arms back up to frame those ears. Good, so now we've added in a third little component. If it's easier not to add in that coming forward, that's okay. Straighten the leg, start to draw the arms down by your side as you hinge forward. Drawing the shoulders up and back helps to keep that flat back. Good, slowly bend the knee, reach back up with those arms. Good, this is the last movement. You're going to be tired. Straighten the leg, arms come down, hinge forward. Find a place where you feel stable. So if being here is stable, if being up is stable, that's okay. Breathe. One more deep breath, and you're going to stay where you are. Bend the knee, hands come down. Good. Hop that back foot to meet the front. It's going to say, oh, thank you. Maybe even kind of wiggle that leg out a little bit. Maybe both legs on a little wiggle. Good. Just notice how you're feeling. Good job. Balance is not always easy, but it's so good for us to work with. All right, so now we're going to shift the weight to the right foot. Draw the left leg behind us. We're coming back in a lunge, so make sure the heel's lifted. Push that left hip forward. Draw the hands onto that top thigh. Draw the core in. When you feel ready, arms come up to frame. You got it. Find a spot to hold your gaze. It really does help with your balance. Push from the front foot into the back. Draw that left hip forward a little bit. Helps. Core in. Breathe. All right, start to straighten the front leg, draw the arms by your side, draw the core in, find your stability here. Might feel a little wobbly at first. Good, bend the knee, draw the arms back up and overhead. Arms coming by the side, straighten the front leg, keep drawing the core in, keep holding your gaze. Bend the knee, reach the arms back up and overhead. Good. Lengthen the leg, arms coming by the side. Now, if you're ready to start adding in the hinge, please do so. This is a good time to just kind of play around with how it feels as you start to come forward. Maybe the calf or the leg is telling you you can't go as deep on this side, and that's okay. Okay, when you're ready, you'll bend the knee, draw the arms back up and overhead. And then straighten. Hinging forward, then arms coming by the side, up and back, kind of help create that flat back. Good, then bend the knee, gently come back up. But anytime you feel unstable, hands can always come to hips. And you can do that same movement here. One more time. And when you come into your place where you can be in stillness, I want you to be there. Breathe deep. Then bend the knee, draw the arms down to the mat. And then hop that back foot to meet the front. Good, those legs are tired, so wiggle them out. Do a little movement just to kind of release. And then we're going to do one more half sun. So come up to a half lift, flat back, drawing shoulders together, core in, gazing down. Fold back into those legs. Good, get set up in chair, bending knees, sinking hips down and back, chest peeling up as the arms frame. Draw the core in. Then push on up to stand as your hands come around into prayer. Shrug out the shoulders. Good. Reach the arms up and overhead, draw the core in, slight tilt to the pelvic, come into that back bend if it feels good. Exhale, fold into your legs. Good, they might feel different, so just be aware. Now I want you to bend your knees deep, hands coming down, walk those feet back. You're coming back into a downward dog. So give yourself distance from hands and feet. Notice how you feel. Rotate the hands out a little bit if you feel like you're slipping. Push the chest towards the thighs. Tailbone lifted, heels acting like they're grounding down. Good. Last little movement. Shift your weight to the left, reach the right foot up towards the ceiling. Now don't let that hip open, just like the other side, toe pointing down. Good, bend the knee, draw it in towards the chest, come forward a little bit like you did in plank. Good, then push that leg gently back, reaching it back up towards the ceiling, toe pointing down. Bend the knee, draw it back in towards the chest, coming forward of the wrist. Good, then lengthen that leg one more time. Good, draw that foot down to the mat. Shift your weight to the other side. It's a nice little release to that leg. You might even notice like, oh, my hip feels a little different. Good, shift to the right, lift that left leg up, toe pointing down. Bend the knee, draw it in towards the chest, come forward into plank. If you need to have the toe come down to the floor to hold, that's okay. Good, push back into down dog, lift that leg up, toe pointing down. Bend the knee, draw it in towards the chest, come forward. It's okay if the toe needs to come down. Breathe. Push gently back up. One more movement. Bend the knee, draw it in towards the chest. Come forward a little bit. Good. And push back into down dog, lengthening that leg, and then drawing the foot gently down. Good. Knees come down to the mat. As knees come down to the mat, I want you to walk the hands forward a little bit. Try not to be smothered by my hair. Bend the elbows in and slowly lower the head and chest down to the mat. Lengthen the legs behind you. Forehead or chin on the mat. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Draw the elbows in and up so the hands are by the chest. Then start to draw the core in. Lift your head and chest up, then reach or hover those hands off of the mat. So those elbows are acting like they're trying to come together. Exhale, slowly release down. Do it again. Hover the hands, drawing the shoulders together, lifting the head and chest up. Breathe. And exhale, release. Good. One more time. Lift on up and pause. Stay lifted. Draw the arms out at T. Draw the shoulders down. And draw the shoulders behind you. Then slowly release. Drawing the head down to the mat. Maybe even gazing in one direction. Shrug out the shoulders. Notice how you feel. If you brought your head in one direction, come back to center and then switch it to the opposite direction. Throw your head back to center. Draw the arms back in by the chest. Lift yourself up to hands and knees. Come to a seated posture on your mat. Good. Then I like to use my core to come on down. So lengthen the legs. Roll the core in. Arms out in front of you. Slowly start to lower down. If you do get to a place where you need to draw the hands by your side to help you all the way down, that's fine. But sometimes we get a little shaky as we come down. That's just your core working. Good. Reach those arms back up and overhead. You're in your full body stretch again, so stretch it out. Notice how your body feels. Good. Arms by the side, toes pointing up, tuck the chin. Do it again. Full body stretch, reaching the arms, pointing the toes. Feel that body being pulled from one end to the other. Stretch, stretch, stretch. Good. Arms down, toes up. One last time. So give yourself that stretch you need here. Maybe you want a little to the left, a little to the right. Keep breathing though. It's so easy to hold the breath. Good. When you're ready to release, you know how to release. Good. All right. So begin to draw the knees back in towards the chest. As the knees come in towards the chest, wrap the arms around and give yourself a little hug, a little squeeze. Notice how that feels. How are the legs feeling? How's the back feeling? If you want a little rock side to side, give yourself a quick little rock side to side. We won't be here too long, but just to kind of reconnect to how you were feeling at the beginning of practice to now how you're feeling at the end. Good. Now hold on to your right knee and lengthen the left leg onto the mat. Engage the feet as though you're pressing against the wall. Take your right hand and hold on to the right knee. Take your left arm back out and draw it into a T position. With your right hand on the right knee, start to open your hip and drawing that leg over to the right. So maybe it pauses, maybe it wants to come all the way down to the floor. Good. Breathe. Draw that knee back to center. Arm back out at T, both. Now your left arm is going to grab your right thigh and start to guide it over to your left side. Good. Notice how that feels. Arms come back out at T. Draw the core in. Knee comes back to center. Good. So we're just going to work with that leg, just doing that one more time. So right arm helps to open this hip to the right. Good. Then draw the leg back to center. Arms back out at T, and then maybe the left leg helps, left arm helps the right leg over to the left side. Arms will come back at a T, use a little core, and then draw the knee back to center. Good. When it comes back to center this time, grab the knee, draw it back in, little squeeze, and then lengthen that leg onto the mat. Good. Notice how it feels. Maybe give it a little wiggle. Then draw the left knee in, wrapping the arms around that knee. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Keep the left hand on the left knee. Right arm comes out at T. Start to open that hip by drawing that leg over to the left. Breathe. Come into a place where that feels good. You don't have to go all the way down. Draw the knee back to center. Arms back out at T, both of them. Now the right hand, opposite, is going to help guide that left leg over to the right side. Then arms come back out at T, draw the core in, draw that knee back to center. We'll do that one more time on this side. Left hand helps to open that left hip to the left side. Arms come back out at T, use your core, draw the knee back to center. Right hand grabs that left thigh, helping to guide it over to the right, coming into that place where you can pause for just a moment. Arms come out at T. Then you'll use your core to draw the knee back to center. Once the knee's back at center though, both arms around the knee for a little squeeze, and then lengthen it to meet the right. Good. Little wiggle through those legs. That feels good. Then arms back out at T. Bend the knees and walk the feet wide. So we'll do windshield wipes. It'll feel good kind of after everything we did. Draw the core in, tuck the chin, shoulders relaxed. Lower knees to the right, gaze to the left. Now I'm going to add in a little extra something to this pose. Many of you have done this before, but that bottom foot, your right foot, can go on top of the left thigh for an extra little stretch. If it's too much, just draw the foot back down. Now draw the foot back down if it's on the thigh and draw the knees back to center. This is where you make sure the feet are still wide, core is engaged. Tuck the chin, relax the shoulders. Knees lower to the left, gaze to the right. And this time the left foot can come onto the top thigh, that right thigh, if that feels good. If it's too much, draw the foot back down. Breathe. Then draw the foot back down, knees back, head back to center. All right, so I want you to just move through these movements at your own pace, adding in that bottom foot coming onto the top thigh if it feels good to you. The next time your leg lowers to one side, come into a place of stillness. Breathe deep and check in. Stay here for 3 deep breaths. And then do the same thing on the opposite side. Try to be here for about 3 deep breaths. And once you come back to center, walk the feet in closer. Then draw the right knee in towards the chest. Wrap the arm around that knee. Then take your ankle of that right foot or right leg and draw it onto the left thigh. Good. Now draw that left knee in towards the chest. Wrap the arms around that left knee. So the right hand will have to go in between that opening of the legs. Good. Push this right hip forward a little bit. It might feel tight because we did a really closed hip class. engage the feet, and then just start to lift that left foot up towards the ceiling. Good. Now bend the knee, but try to make sure that the ankle doesn't go too much lower than the knee. Then reach that foot back up towards the ceiling. Good. Do that a few times. Bend the knee. Try not to let the ankle go too much further than the knee. And lengthen the leg. One more time. As you lengthen the leg, come into a place of stillness. Feel the shoulders getting a nice little stretch. Tuck the chin in. Good. Gently bend the knee. Release the hands. Draw the left foot down to the mat. Then take your right leg and completely cross it over the left thigh. So that right crease of the knee goes over the thigh. Good. Notice how that feels. Draw the knees in. Engage the feet. Arms come out at T. Reach the arms up towards the ceiling. Nice little stretch up. Then right arm on top of the left. Hug the body. So the arms or hands may have to tuck underneath the shoulders a little bit. But then draw the elbows. Act as though they're trying to reach to those knees. Tuck the chin. Breathe. Good. Arms reach up and back out at T. Left foot comes down so you can uncross the right leg. Those legs probably want a little wiggle, 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 wiggle. Good. Then draw the left knee, and when you're ready, wrap the arms around that knee. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Then take the angle of that left thigh and bring it onto the right thigh. Left ankle to right thigh. Activate that foot. And then push the knee forward just a little bit, just to feel. Sometimes we notice like, ooh, this side, there's sensation. So notice that. Now take your right knee, draw it in towards the chest. This is where you might be like, ooh, I feel my sciatic, or I feel my thighs. Reach the hands around those thighs. The right thigh, so the left hand has to go in between. Activate that right foot. And then start to reach that leg up. Good. Bend the knee. Again, don't let the ankle go too much further than the knee. Good. Reach the foot gently back up. Feel that stretch. Gently bend the knee. Don't let the ankle go too much further than that knee. One more time. Stretch it up. And pause. Breathe. Feel the shoulder getting a stretch. Tuck the chin. Good. Bend the knee. Release the hands. The foot comes down to the mat. Cross the leg completely. So the crease of that left knee comes over to the right thigh. Arms come out at T. Draw the knees in and engage the feet. Arms reach up towards the ceiling. Left arm on top of the right. So you hug your body. You might have to tuck under to grab a hold of the shoulder. Then pull the elbows down and away. So it's like they're trying to go towards the knees. Tuck the chin and breathe. Good. One more deep breath. Reach the arms up and then back out. Right foot comes to the floor. Left leg can then release. All right. Give yourself a moment of any little movements that you might like or want before we go into Shavasana. Maybe you're like, I'm ready for Shavasana. No more moves. That's okay. Get yourself ready. Maybe you want to do another round of windshield wipes. Maybe there's something that you're craving, happy baby, bridge. So that can be anything we've done from a previous class or anything we've done in this class. When you're ready for Shavasana, Legs against the wall might be actually a really good option after the practice we did with our legs. So all that is you find a place, an empty place against the wall. You take a hip and then you just will bring that as close as you can to the wall. You start to kind of lean down and then the legs will start to go up. You'll kind of come all the way down and your legs will be against the wall the best they can. And then you'll probably have to wiggle, 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 get your booty as close to the wall as you can until those legs are in a better position. If you want to just lay on the mat, feel free to do that as well. If you have a bed by you, sometimes or a couch, you can do the same thing, but the knees are going to be bent. And so it'll kind of look a little bit like just like this, and that's okay. So whatever position you choose, get comfortable, get relaxed, use any props that you might need to get yourself set up and ready. Okay. And when you're ready for that Shavasana and you're set up, close the eyes. Take a deep breath in. Take a deep breath out. And enjoy the Shavasana. I will call you out when it's take a deep breath in. Take a deep breath out. Begin to wiggle fingers and toes, slowly stretching to awaken. If you're against the wall, you might want to bend the knees to push your feet to push against the wall so you're not right up against it. It makes it easier to come out of the posture. But just take your time, stretch, slowly begin to awaken. Keeping the eyes closed at your own pace. Just come up when you're ready to a seated posture. There is never a rush. And once you get in your seated posture, I want you to just lengthen the spine a little bit. Relax the shoulders, really soften and relax the face. Let your hands find your lap and the palms to face up for the gift of receiving. I want you to send yourself some love and compassion for this practice. And it's not even the practice. It's the connection that you've had with the mind and body. Carving out this time so that you were able to relax, able to get some time, some self-care to yourself, and just able to get out of that monkey mind. And maybe you weren't fully there, but that's okay. You were trying. And that's a big step. So be kind to yourself and give yourself a little love for this time, for this practice, for the effort and ease that you put into it. Then come into prayer, Anjali Mudra, palms together, thumbs finding the chest. I want you to come back to your intention that you set at the beginning of practice and repeat it back to yourself again. If you forgot it, that's okay. Maybe just repeat how you're feeling right now. And I'm incredibly grateful that you let me guide you. Thank you for that. My light sees your light. It connects us. There's no difference right now. We are one. Namaste.